I'm going to push back when he says things that are ugly, that I think will damage our brand, damage our ability to be successful. And I'm sure as hell going to, when he attacks me personally or disparages my family, damn right I'm going to fight back.
Fighting words from Jeb Bush threatening to hit back at Donald Trump if the frontrunner attacks his wife and family. But Trump isn't just taking heat from Bush. He's also feeling the fire from conservative radio show host Hugh Hewitt, stumbling over what Trump deemed gotcha questions on Mideast politics.
Are you familiar with General Soleimani?
Yes. Go ahead. Give me a little. Go ahead. Tell me.
He runs the Quds forces.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Do you expect
and I think the Kurds, by the way, have been horribly mistreated by us.
No, not the Kurds. The Quds forces, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Quds forces, the bad guys.
Right.
Do you expect his behavior to change as a result?
Kurds. Kurds.
No.
Kurds. I'm sorry. I thought you said Kurds.
All right. So was that a gotcha question from Hugh Hewitt? Let's talk about that. I'm joined by the executive director of the Independent Women's Forum, Sabrina Schaefer, and CNN political commentator and former communications director for Ted Cruz, Amanda Carpenter. So, Amanda, was Trump right? Was that a gotcha question from Hugh Hewitt?
Listen, it absolutely was not a gotcha question. People wanting to be commander-in-chief are expected to know about international relations and particularly our fight against terrorism. The fact that he's turning this into a campaign once again against the media shows, I think, that Donald Trump doesn't like to be questioned on the issues. And really, there's no excuse for him not to be prepared for these questions. Hugh Hewitt has forecasted in multiple interviews on his radio show that he wants candidates to be able to talk intelligently about these issues. This question came up in the previous Republican debate. So it just shows, I think, that Donald Trump doesn't have a serious approach to preparing for these important questions.
Okay, so Hugh Hewitt dug in, and he had Carly Fiorina on his show next, and he set up her interview by saying, you know, she has no idea what I'm going to ask her, but I'm going to ask her the very same questions that I asked of Donald Trump. And I want to play how Carly Fiorina answered Hugh Hewitt's questions.
Look, we know that the Quds Force has been a powerful tool of the Iranian regime to sow conflict. We also know that the Quds Force is responsible for the death and wounding of American soldiers. We also know that the Quds Force has been in Syria and a whole bunch of other countries in the Middle East.
So there you have it, Sabrina. Carly Fiorina had no problem answering the questions about the Quds.
Not at all. And one of the things I like most about Carly Fiorina is that, you know, she doesn't pretend that she has been working in foreign policy for the last 3 decades, but she's willing to do the heavy lifting. She's willing to do the homework. And all of this is so reminiscent, in my mind, of our experiences with Sarah Palin back in the last election cycle, where people were very enthusiastic about her the way they are about Donald Trump. And then we found out that, guess what, she wasn't actually going to do the heavy lifting. She wasn't going to spend the time doing her work. And Carly Fiorina has demonstrated that she is, not only on the first. She's clearly demonstrated that. She's demonstrated again with Hugh Hewitt and on a range of issues, from women in the workplace to foreign policy. She's willing to tackle them all, and I think it's very important.
And if I could jump in here, Sabrina, what I think is really interesting about Carly Fiorina, and I didn't know this until today, but as CEO of Hewlett-Packard, she actually had a close working relationship with the CIA. In the wake of 9/11, the CIA needed a whole lot of servers, and they contacted Carly Fiorina to get those from Hewlett-Packard. And as a result of that relationship, she worked in an advisory board with the CIA for a number of years. So this isn't only a matter of her studying up and being prepared for the question. She's actually been immersed in this in a way that I don't think people know about.
Oh, it's interesting because that debate, the next debate, is coming up on September 16th. Carly Fiorina is likely to be a part of that debate on the same stage as Donald Trump. So will the debate mostly focus on those two, do you think, Sabrina?
Well, I definitely think that this is an opportunity for Carly Fiorina. And, you know, it's something important to keep in mind is that when it comes to foreign policy, Republicans no longer sort of own that issue the way they have in years past. In fact, Republicans and Democrats, according to Pew Research, are very much head-to-head on foreign policy. So the ability to get up there on the 16th and really define one's foreign policy and demonstrate to the public that you have a real grasp of these issues and a vision for what America's foreign policy ought to look like in the next 4 years, that's very effective, and that will be very important, and that's something I think a lot of political commentators will be watching, as well as American voters.
And I suspect, Sabrina, I suspect, Amanda, that Donald Trump will have more of a policy that I'm going to hire a General MacArthur type.
Yeah, I hope he learns from this experience you can't just outsource your foreign policy to advisors. But on the Trump-Fiorina question that you raised, I think there's going to be a very interesting dynamic. If you remember in the first debate, she essentially rose to the top of the polls by attacking him from that early debate stage. This could be time they are on together. She's gone after him for the negative way that he talks about women. So we could have some really interesting exchanges coming up.
I can't wait myself. I'm excited. Amanda Carpenter, Sabrina Schaefer, thanks to both of you.